All right, family. We black again with the general. You already know it's about that time. You feel me? We got the sacred science today. We're gonna be breaking it down. The Canaanite Kemetic mystery system. We're in the house, family. Come on in. I want to make sure y'all get over to Patreon because we most definitely turning it up. You know, the general had to, get this in alignment. You feel me? Cosmological, architectural. You see, we in the house. So we're gonna be talking. And it's why is this necessary? Because too many of the times, if we don't understand, our great civilization all over the planet. You cannot be myopic. Can't be no myopic. You see, what I'm laying out for y'all is the chakras of the planet. You see, you ain't gonna elevate with no one damn chakra. You see what I'm saying? And you got to know the main chakra. You understand? And how and bring the other chakras in alignment. We're talking about planetary chakras. And many of these civilizations are built on planetary chakras, powerful energy centers. That's why when you look on the planet, you're not gonna see this type of, advanced, advanced accomplishments in civilizations, architecture, medicine, in astronomy. You see, spirituality. You're not gonna see this everywhere. That's a fact. You see, you can where you go, especially across, from that equator, out, from the equator, which is the spine of the planet, you're gonna see that the majority of the greatest civilizations on the planet was in alignment with that equator. You see, with that equator. I don't care if you come over to the Americas. I don't give a damn if you go into Asia. You see, it's going to be off the alignment of that equator. You see, and the ones that's up north going to be directly descended from those that preceded it based on, how close they are to the equator. That's just what it is. And so we are talking about the Canaanite Kemetic mystery system. And so, when we talk about the Canaanites, the Phoenicians, today they want to falsely call this land or this nation Israel. There ain't never been no Israel. Ain't never been no Israel. You see, nowhere only place where you can find Israel is in the Bible. Okay, is in the Bible. That's the only place there's no great architecture, megaliths or nothing that come from Israel. But with the Canaanites, with the Phoenicians, and we use that. You understand? And we use the Bible. We use the Bible because some of the geography in it is in alignment with history. If it's in alignment with history, then we can say, yes, here, they told the truth. And in the Bible, Canaan was the brother of ancient Egypt, was the brother of Ethiopia, was the brother of Libya, Punt. This is a fact. So if it's in the Bible and it can be validated, aligned with history, then we can say, hey, right there, they told the truth. And in that respects, they did. Okay, in that respects that, they did. Now, what is the mystery system? The mysteries, thank you, family out there. Thank you for coming on in there. Thank you, good brother, for supporting me. Got number and love for the family out there. The Canaanite Kemetic mystery system. And so what is it? It is the sacred institution of spiritual academic development, that you cannot find in the Canaanite, the Phoenicians, and a lot of people sleep on the Phoenicians, but they were, a lot of them were educated in the Nile Valley, and plus it was under the imperialistic jurisdiction of Egypt. What years was that? I believe it was the 12 from around 1200 BC. Where's that alignment at? Let me see. Right. It was under the rule of Egypt from 1450 to 1200 BC. Okay. And so when you get there, the Romans had taken over parts of Phoenicia. You see parts of Phoenicia right around maybe, I believe right around, right around 1200 BC or a little after, you see, but they still had access to many of them great architects. You see, many of them great architects. And so they built some of the greatest monuments, in that area. We talking about Baalbek, but they use Egyptian masons. You see, they use Egyptian masons as stonemasons as the lead stonemasons in constructing a lot of those temples up there in Lebanon. And even when you go into the Bible, it was the Phoenicians that really built the Temple of Solomon. And so they say the king of Tyre, which was Hiram, there was a Phoenician. This, if you talking about that these were Cushite, Kemetic Cushites, you see, that were in that land. And that's why they came up many times to defend Canaan, and to defend Canaan, because most of the time, if a conqueror came up to take over Canaan, they was on their way to Egypt. You see, they was on there, and plus that's their front door, and they're not gonna have nobody. The Kemetic Cushite not gonna have nobody sitting in their front door if they can help it. So for over 3,000, we talking about even longer than that. They had nobody at that front door. But then right around when the Persians came on the scene, who were the first conquerors? You see, the first, and you'll read in the Bible also about Taaka and them. They had to come up there and free and go to war. Matter of fact, Taaka had to go up there and during the 25th dynasty and defend and primarily the whole region, not just Canaan, but the whole region, because they knew what the Persians was up to. They was trying to cut into that area, which, the Mediterranean, the Mediterranean being economically, one of those choke points in the world. And whoever controlled that area had access to the whole Mediterranean. And that's another thing, why Egypt always supported Canaan, because they had other, they had other access to the Mediterranean, but nevertheless, it was a lot of resources in that area, the timber and all of that, which they used, which they was famous for, had a lot of timber for the wood and other, even the purple dye that the Phoenicians, that they were famous for. And so, but this is an African nation, and that many of the great Phoenicians, Melchizedek. See, a lot of people don't know that Canaanite Melchizedek, and for all intensive purposes, is the most powerful entity in the Bible. He was greater than Abraham. He was greater than Moses. He was greater than Jesus. Yes, he was a Canaanite. And that's that Kemetic Canaanite mystery system that was already in there, already practicing. Because when you look at a lot of the deities, Wait a minute. When you look at a lot of the deities in Phoenicia, they wear uh they wear Egyptian crowns. Do I got that in there? I should have it in there. If I don't, I'm gonna have to put it in there. Yeah, if and so let me throw that map in there so y'all can see exactly what we talking about. Let me throw some maps in here so you know exactly where we talking about. Let me see. That's a good one for right now. That's a good one for right now. Let me pull it all the way out. Okay. Yeah, so you see Phoenicia, which is Canaan, right there on the eastern branch of the Mediterranean. Very powerful, especially because that gave people access to the Mediterranean. You see, gave people access to the main Mediterranean. But, this is why, a lot of people got to understand even Turkey. Because as you see, as they came up, to that, what we call Canaan, but today they call it Israel. And you can see how it's cutting up, going left at the top. They went all the way around today, what they call Turkey. That's Turkey. You see, and that's where you're going to see the Trojans, huh? You're going to see the Trojans. You're going, the other nation right above it that they call coaches, which was very important. That's where they had what they called the fleece or the golden ram was in coaches, which was very powerful in Greek mythology. If you hip to the Jason's it was Jason and the Argonauts, and Jason had to go up to Colchis, which they say was an Egyptian colony. You see, so the Egyptians, ran the Mediterranean for damn near 3,000 years, but the Phoenicians were contracted out after a while to do a lot of that work. You know what I'm saying? Because the Egyptians was, they was on, up there building too many goddamn pyramids. You know what I'm saying? To be go, just out there on the water like that. They was into their megalithic structures. And so they would contract a lot of that work out to the Phoenicians. And so that's even where people get their language from, the phonetics. The Phoenicians took the Egyptian out script, and they made it into a workable script for themselves and other nations surrounding the Mediterranean. That's what they did, but they got it from Egypt, and even one of their great cities, Byblos, which where you get Bible is from papyrus. Is from papyrus. So, when we get to talking about the mystery system, Melchizedek was, and Melchizedek ain't got nothing on Imhotep. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, he was the greatest person in the Bible, but he ain't had nothing on Imhotep. You see what I'm saying? If Melchizedek blow people's mind, then you can imagine what high priest of the Nile was like. Melchizedek was high priest of the Canaanite Kemetic mystery system. You understand what I'm saying? But as far as coming into the Nile, he would have been low rank. He would have been in a low rank compared to. Matter of fact, he couldn't even get a rank in the Nile Valley. You see, he got his rank down there in Canaan in Phoenicia, but he didn't have no rank in the Nile Valley. That's just how that go. You see what I'm saying? So, and he was like God. So you can imagine what them brothers up and sisters was up in the Nile. You already know. That's why they say this is the land of gods. See, the thing is, let me come in here, y'all. Let me come in here. Let me come in here real quick. You see, let me come in here real quick. See, the thing is about Egypt. See, Egypt is the only nation where you can see multitudes of people coming to the Christ consciousness at one time. You see what I'm saying? Most other people, they just gonna get one person, the Melchizedek. You know, they might get the one they call Yahshua, whatever you want to call him. You see, some people say, oh, his name was Yahshua. He's still a knockoff from Osiris. I don't care what you call him. You see, so, you know, but only in Kemet and Cush will you find a multitude where the majority of the masses had reached Christ consciousness at the same time. That's why you see so many megalithic, mind-blowing structures, because they all had reached Christ consciousness at the same time. This is what we're talking about, you see. And so, you know, we have to understand that what we call Canaan is a chakra for the planet. It is. It's one of our chakras, and we need to know that degree of the Canaanite because it is powerful. It is powerful. You see what I'm saying? That's just like you got a crown on your head, but you gonna have them big ones up there. Them big ones is gonna be Kemet and Cush. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna have a lot of nice size ones too. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna have two big ones sitting on that crown, goddamn it, and that's gonna be Kemet and Cush. And then you're gonna have some nice size ones. They're gonna be India, they're gonna be the Phoenicia, Sumeria, Etrusca, Angkor Wat, and all of these. These are chakras of the planet for our people. And when you go into these areas, a certain consciousness will awaken in you that will help you go to the next level of your your journey is trying to reach godhood and goddesshood, and understanding these various degrees on the planet. It's just going to take you to the next level. That's all that is. But to be myopic and just into one, but you got to be in chronological order. Just because I say study, but you got to be in chronological order. You cannot put the son before the father, and you cannot put the daughter before the mother. You cannot do that. You see what I'm saying? Because then you out of order. We got to stay in my eye. But long as you stay in chronological order, because that's what my eye is. You understand that it's a divine law, it's a natural law. And as long as you stay in divine alignment in chronological order, meaning you don't put the lesser degrees over the advanced degrees. And so when you coming into Kemet, you coming in, and when you go into Cush, Mother Cush, you going into even a higher consciousness. You see, because Egypt is the mother of Cush, but Egypt is the manifestation of the greatest. It is the manifestation of the greatest levels that we have ever reached on this planet. It's beyond debate. It's beyond debate. You cannot put nobody, you see, and I'm not even putting Cush in respect. You cannot put nothing over Kemet. You can't. It's just impossible. You know, everybody else gonna have to talk you to death to make you believe something greater than Egypt. And all you had to do is just take the trip and let your lying eyes, deceive you. That's what you let your lying eyes deceive you at what you see. And then once you go to Kemet, that's why they don't even want you to go to Kemet. Then take you a trip. Matter of fact, go everywhere you want to go. Go to Kemet last. Go everywhere. Go see your mounds. Go to Rome. Go to Greece. Go to wherever you need to go. Go to all of that shit. And then go to India. And then come to Egypt. And your own consciousness will let you know that this right here was the most advanced time that we have ever existed on this planet. And it's irresponsible to take some shit that is far less than this advancement and pretend that it is greater than our walk and our time in Egypt. That's fucking irresponsible. You understand? You are a liar. You are a perpetrator for doing that. And no matter what you tell the people, once they take that trip Nigga, whatever you said is going to be erased from their memory bank because their own consciousness going to tell them some shit that you can never override, period. That's why only a nigga that ain't never been will allow somebody to lie to them about some minuscule shit. You understand what I'm saying? Even if it is ours. Even if it is ours. You see? Even if it is ours. This is the level that we need to be on to take it where when we talking about taking that shit to the stars, we need to be on the Kemetic level, Cushite level. We can't be dealing with mounds. We did that. Now we did that. That was in our preschool period. And I give respects to it too, because it has its place and it's still in the science. I didn't say it wasn't a chakra. It's still a chakra. But some of y'all take this lesser chakra and you put it in place of the great gems of the crown, which is why your ass is losing right now today. You can't do that. You see? But anyway, family, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all get back on with the general. I'm going to start lining this up, man, getting these visuals up here more regularly. And so we can really touch on this like we always do. You feel me? Like we always do. I'll see y'all in a minute. Click that link at the top of the chat. Get over to Patreon. We will be heavy on Patreon tonight, and I don't want you to miss it. I'll be right back, family. See you in a minute. Black Power.